Howdy, folks. I'm a positively passive possum playing peacefully pantomiming pigeons.
I'm Amber.
And here are more pigeons for us to pantomime. And also, folks, there is a live stream happening on Friday, so make sure to check the end of the video to see more details about that. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Giving Back Everything My Family Bought for My Son? My wife and I welcomed our son into the world early this month. Prior to his birth, we had been given a lot of very nice clothes and toys by my parents for him. My mother-in-law also made some pretty incredible clothes and blankets. My wife, her siblings, and their mom lived in poverty for a large portion of their life. Their dad abandoned the family and left my wife's mom with a large pile of debt that weighed on them. So their life wasn't easy. My mother-in-law often made her kids clothes versus buying them because it was cheaper for her to do. She worked in a store that had a lot of fabrics, and they were allowed to take home some of the excess. She's talented and has always put effort into making sure that the clothes look good enough so that the kids wouldn't be bullied. Those clothes are something that my wife treasures. She remembers how much love and effort went into them. She also appreciates that her mom tried to make them work enough to blend in at school. That saved them from years of potentially bullying. All of these years later, and mother-in-law is still dealing with the debt. She does not have a lot, so she's made some amazing clothes and blankets for our son. One of the outfits was even his take-home outfit. But then, a couple of days after our son was born, she comes over with a bag of clothes that she bought, saying that she wanted him to have more. My wife and I were shocked. I could see that she was upset and looked almost guilty. So, when my wife went to nap, I asked her what was going on. At first, she said nothing, that she just wanted her grandson to have more. But then, she apologized for embarrassing us. I asked what she meant. She told me that my parents had talked to her after the baby shower and told her that she had left all of the grandparent spoiling to them. That she should understand that if we never put our son in any of those clothes because really, they look kind of homemade, clothes from 70 plus years ago, when people were left with no choice. They accused her of not caring enough. I told her that I was so sorry that they had said that. I assured her that I had never said anything to them like that. That my parents had no idea what it was like to have nothing, and that they were being judgmental jerks. I even convinced her to take back the clothes that she bought and return them to the store. Then I gathered up everything that my parents had given us and went to their house. My parents didn't even try to deny it when I confronted them. All they did was look down on the effort that she put into them. They said that we couldn't seriously be okay with those being the only gifts. I said that we were, and as far as I was concerned, they were the only truly generous gifts that he got, and I told them that it was their gifts that I was embarrassed of. I gave them the stuff, and I told them that we were no longer accepting the gifts or them after what they did. They were furious, saying that I reacted way too harshly and saying that it was a jerk move to return the gifts. I am furious with them. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. The only people being jerks here are your parents. Even if a gift isn't something that you personally would want or that you enjoy, who goes up to another person and is like, oh, these trashy gifts that you poured all your love and time and energy into making, psh, you should have just bought store stuff.
Yeah, it was certainly poor form of them to do this. They were being incredibly self-centered. They were being entitled. They don't understand what it's like to be in the mother-in-law's shoes here, and they needed to mind their own business. And I don't think what OP did was wrong in the respect that it's kind of the punishment fits the crime type of scenario, where they're saying, well, we'll reject your gifts if you're going to act like this. We don't want people like you in our lives who are going to bring about strife and discontent.
And belittle people because they don't have tons of money and would make some nice handmade gifts.
So I don't think that OP was wrong at all, but let me know what you folks think. Anyhow, take care and good luck. And ILAD9446 says, personal opinion, get them to apologize to your mother-in-law and still treat your parents normally. You are not the jerk, but it's not good enough of a reason to break a good relationship and become hostile. Better to make amends than to leave it at that. And OP replies, they do not think that they did anything wrong, so they won't apologize. And In Car Trust says, not the jerk, this is frankly a pretty tempered reaction. Your parents are real jerks here. And OP replies, I've never been so ashamed or disgusted by them in my entire life. And Encartus says, yeah, no contact for a long time for sure. Sorry, man. And OP replies, a permanent CO is what I'm thinking of because they knew what they were doing and they tried to drag me into it as well. They are very much aware that mother-in-law had it tough because of her ex. And Invisible Ribbon says, what's a permanent CO? I know NC means no contact, but I'm not sure what CO is. And OP replies, it means cut off. And All the Fox Given says, do your parents know all about your wife's background and what your mother-in-law had to do for them as children? And OP replies, yes, they have been fully aware for years about their background and what my mother-in-law has been through. So that's even less of an excuse at that point in time. It wasn't even like they didn't know and they were just being rude. It's that they were willfully mean in this case.
I mean, they're just classists, are rubbing their money in other people's faces.
Yeah. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Calling Out Another Man's Name While I Slept. So, my partner and I have been together for almost 4 years, and of course I love her. She is the woman that I'm going to marry and the only person that I want to be with. Also, not that you'll believe me, but I'm straight. While I consider myself an ally, I'm not gay. I'm not opposed to the idea of bisexuality, but I'm just not into dudes like that, so I just don't think that I am. I just had a really great dream last night. Well, last night I had an epic romantic dream. It was some forbidden love where I was in love with a man. The dream was seriously like a movie. I mean, it was awesome. Nothing NSFW happened either. Well, unless you count passionate kissing as NSFW. But it wasn't like a dirty dream at all. It was just a romantic and epic dream. And I should be allowed to enjoy it when my brain serves me a movie at night. But where I messed up is that apparently I said the man's name out loud. And I'll be honest, I didn't even remember the dude's name. But my fiancée sure did. She asked me about who Julio was and why I kept calling out for him last night. I thought that it would be funny if I said, the man of my dreams. 'Cause, I mean, technically it's true. But she didn't seem amused at all. So I downplayed it a bit and didn't mention how much I enjoyed the dream. She didn't even like the joke. How would I tell her that I had an affair with the man in my dreams? She then accused me of being closeted and said that I needed to sort my stuff out because dreams are what the subconscious wants or thinks, and insisted that it didn't sound like an innocent dream, which again, nothing adult-oriented happened other than the passionate kissing. And also, it was only a dream. And like I told her, I've had dreams where I'm an actual elephant. I don't want to be an elephant. I don't know what her deal is, man. I hope she gets over it soon, cause Julio will sweep me off my feet, laughing my butt off. Update. Y'all, I had so much fun reading these that I couldn't get through all of them. There's a lot. I was prepared not to even bring it up again, cause I figured maybe that she needed to deal with something, since that her reaction was very out of character for her. But she came up to me and apologized for overreacting. Turns out, her first long-term relationship 3 years ago was very similar to ours, and the guy had even talked about proposing to her and having kids with her, but never did. He was in the closet for a good long while. She explained that near the end, he would talk about a guy nonstop and mention his name while he slept, and would drop everything for the guy, even when they were out together. He eventually told her that he realized that he was gay, and that it was over, and that he had been cheating for months with the guy. She stopped dating seriously after that until we met. She said that last night freaked her out because even though she hadn't thought about what had happened in years, she wasn't ready to go through that again. And I reassured her that even if I was attracted to men, I would never step out of the relationship for a man or a woman because she's the only person I see in my future and life with. She is, after all, the love of my life. Julio is just some interesting him boy in my brain that it created. But something great came out of it. Today, we started talking about our past relationships, which we never had really done. It was a lot of fun getting to know that side of her. And once the waters were cooled down and we were joking, I threw up a couple of quick jokes about my ex Julio and our epic adventure. We laughed so much. It's been a great Sunday. All right, folks, what do you think of that and the update?
I really like the update. I think everything makes a lot more sense now. Because I know sometimes people are really weird about dreams. I've heard of people like yelling at their partner or giving them the cold shoulder for something they did in their dreams. So like, I'm glad there's a logical explanation here. Like, I'm sorry she had to go through that. And it's really nice they could actually sit down and talk out what was going on and understand that this isn't that situation.
Yeah, I thought that the update was really wholesome. I thought that was a really great way that this ended. It seems like they're growing closer with each other. They actually talked out their problems like adults. And she realized that she was overreacting and that it was just a lot to take for her. And I mean, that's understandable given like a traumatic experience like that.
Yeah, and dreams are just wild. Like, they can be really, really strange things, and different people ascribe different meanings to them. And the truth is, we don't really fully understand how they function, what they actually have to do. So, you know, I can understand why it would seem confusing to someone, but at the same time, like, dreams are what they are. They're just these weird things our brain does, and we have to, like, sometimes treat them with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Like my dreams, for instance, I never am in my dreams.
I'm almost always the main character of my dreams. Sometimes I'm my character from one of my books or something, but like my dreams, there's lots of zombies, lots of anxiety dreams. So, you know.
Mine are just like movies. I just watch movies.
I get chased by zombies and like all kinds of there are good dreams too, but like it's like the zombie ones that stick in my head, and it's like
let me know what you folks think and what kind of dreams you have. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our last letter is an update. And we read this one a little while ago. Update. Am I the jerk for calling my fiance selfish for wanting to announce her pregnancy at her cousin's wedding? And what happened with this one is that OP's fiance and her cousin were in a kind of like confrontational type, almost competition type thing.
Yeah, basically, it's not even clear if the cousin wanted it, but the wife had set up a competition between the two of them.
Yeah, and they were always competing, and recently the cousin, she had a miscarriage, but she was still planning on getting married, and OP's wife, or fiance, ends up getting pregnant, and she wants to announce this at the wedding. And OP was like, no, we're not doing that. Sorry for the long wait, as I have been going through some things. Me and my fiance breaking up, work, the death of my grandfather, etc. So I didn't expect to get a bunch of replies to my post, but a lot of them were really helpful. My ex was determined to go to the wedding, despite my protests, and even planned out how she was going to be refusing alcohol when offered. I did tell my ex's parents about what she was planning on doing. I didn't want to go and tell the groom or bride because I wouldn't know how to put it in words that would make the whole situation less awful. Ex's parents did end up telling the bride's parents, and they told the bride. The bride was so upset that she unfortunately called off the wedding. Everyone wanted her to continue it and invite my ex for a couple of plans that the guests had thought of. For example, when my ex announced it, everyone would just stay nonchalant and not give her the excited reaction that she was hoping for. And the classic, just don't invite her plan. The bride was understandably wanted to be left alone, and she just texted my fiance a very long paragraph telling her what a horrible person she was. She just decided not to do the wedding anymore, and her fiance was very heartbroken. But all in all, they were both grateful to me. My ex instantly knew that I was the cause of all of this, and she was furious at me, even more, because I posted about it here. But she also said a pretty sick thing about how she still pretty much won anyways. I just decided to break up with her after that. Some of her family members are kind of upset at me, as they believe that I just caused a bunch of drama. Now, I'm currently in the works of talking to an attorney, my ex told me that I will not be seeing the baby after they are born. So all of that on top of the grief, working, breakup, being called a mess starter by some of her family, and still feeling like garbage. Either way, the bride and groom were just still heartbroken. It's just putting a bunch of anxiety and stress on me. Anyways, here is the long-awaited update, and any questions I'll try to answer. Edit. So they were all pretty much already contemplating canceling the wedding. Family members did stress her out over the miscarriage and canceling. Her fiance's family were excessive about how she couldn't carry a baby to full term like a real woman. Not to mention, her own family went around spreading her miscarriage like wildfire, which is how my ex and I found out. They told it to coworkers even. It's not the first time that my ex has also interrupted her cousin's big events. For example, when turning 17, my ex cake smashed her, which wasn't fun for the cousin. Their first pregnancy announcement, which was the miscarriage, was ruined because my ex blurted out the news, but her cousin told her to get it over with because it was a miscarriage anyways. So she told by family members. This was what I was told when asking her fiance, so she's at a breaking point for a while. She was considering just still continuing with the wedding, but wanted to be left alone. They didn't call off the wedding permanently just until the bride has cooled down. Alright folks, this is a terrible update in some respects.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the poor cousin, all of this. Like, it sounds like her fiance is maybe the only one who's in her corner, and he has to talk to his family and like do something about them, because it is never okay to shame someone for a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like, that is absolutely disgusting, reprehensible behavior.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel so bad for her. I feel bad for OP, although I'm glad that he is out of this relationship. Unfortunately, he is still going to be legally entangled because of the baby, but
Yeah.
it's a bad situation, and I just hope the cousin can get the healing she needs, get away from the bad people in her life who are being very hurtful, and find solace in her partner and friends.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree here. It sounds like everyone but the fiance and OP are being terrible to this poor woman. And they're all pressuring her and trying to get her to do one thing or another and spreading her personal business around and making things that much worse. And it's just not a good situation. It must be a pretty hefty toll on her mental health. So I do hope that she gets the help that she needs. I hope that she can take some time and cool down, so to speak, and that these people stop being terrible to her. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got a beverage of choice right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
What do you get if you cross a cat with a lemon?
I'll tell you what you get when you cross the cat with a lemon. You get a sourpuss.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. I was like, I know the punchline of this. I know where this is going. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Monday. I hope you're all having a great start to your week. I hope it's not too super hot for you or super cold for you. It's pretty warm in here. I'm actually pretty toasty. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of a dream.
So I had this dream, and in the dream, this person came to me with a message for our audience. And the message that they told me was to be kind to one another, and do not try and upstage your cousin by announcing your pregnancy at her wedding after she had a miscarriage.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably pretty good life advice to follow. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye!